The phony dolls can be deadly. Because the demand for Cabbage Patch is so much bigger than the supply, cheap imitations are being shipped in from overseas. Many of the imports are stuffed with oil or kerosene rags and are highly flammable. The FBI is also worried because most are sprayed with insecticide to protect the dolls during shipment.
Upon the contact that the child has with the doll, certainly illness can result, and if the child is young enough and if contact with the doll has been close enough, death can result.
Shipments have been seized from Taiwan, South Korea, and Hong Kong. There are ways to tell the real dolls from the phonies.
Away from the children if they have any pesticide or petroleum smell.
Also, look for these signs of a real doll. The Xavier Roberts signature on the left hip, the Appalachian artwork marking on the neck, a tag on the wrist, and a tag in the clothing that gives washing instructions and the Coleco trademark. 125,000 of the fake dolls have come into this country through O'Hare Airport alone. If you buy a Cabbage Patch doll, buy it from a reputable store. Most of the fakes turn up at fairs and places that don't usually deal in dolls, like convenience stores.
This doll feels more tightly packed than a real Cabbage Patch doll. It catches fire almost immediately, and it burns intensely. We purchased the doll for $16 from a vendor who identified himself as James Cohen at a stand in front of Midtown Plaza on Main Street.
I feel this way, that if a child is going to play with matches and is going to put them on fire, I'm sure they're not going to be playing with dolls. Plain and simple.
But for anyone purchasing a doll for a child, that attitude just isn't good enough. Some people jump at the chance to buy the fake dolls, even when they know they're fake.
They're just as cute, but I think if you've purchased one, you can tell right away by looking at them that they're not the real thing.
This vendor's wagon, operated by William Kuva inside Midtown Plaza, could lead one to believe that the real thing is on sale. The sign says Cabbage Cart, and it offers Cabbage Patch Kids. Kuva told us by phone that he knows they're not real, but he claims his doll is made by Coleco to be sold at a lower price. The proof, he says, is the name stamped on the back of their heads. However, Coleco has warned that dolls with this stamp alone are fakes. Real Cabbage Patch dolls also have Xavier Roberts' signature stamped on their hip, a wrist tag attached with an elastic band, and a clothing label with washing instructions, and the words manufactured by Coleco. This bogus Cabbage Patch doll quickly caught flame and was engulfed within 4 minutes. People who suspect their Cabbage Patch doll is a fake should wrap it up and put it out of the reach of children.
The health department says if your Cabbage Patch look-alike has a strong petroleum or pesticide odor, there is cause for concern, but not alarm.
If there is some kind of a chemical smell from it, just take it away, put it in a plastic bag, and wait to hear for any further word in terms of what they should do with it.
According to an ABC News report, some imported dolls were stuffed with petroleum-soaked fabric. Others were apparently sprayed with pesticide. And while the dolls don't burn faster than any other fabric, the odor could be a problem.
Could be a skin rash, could cause stomach upset, could cause dizziness. And depending on the pesticide that was used, it might also cause some problems in the future in terms of increasing the risk, slightly increasing the risk of certain diseases.
I am standing in a warehouse full of the real thing, the Cabbage Patch dolls. But most of these dolls will be sold as soon as they hit the store shelves, and therefore many parents will be forced to buy Cabbage Patch lookalikes. Many of these lookalikes are perfectly safe, especially if the doll was bought in a reputable store. Your best bet is to smell the doll, and if the odor is strong, put the doll away until health officials know more. Consumer activist Judy Brayman-Lipson contacted the Consumer Product Safety Commission this morning.
They told us that there is additional testing going on in their own laboratories. They've been very busy.
But the commission told Brayman-Lipson there have been no injuries reported so far. Jim Redmond reports tonight on one local woman who says the dolls she bought have that petroleum smell.
Nancy Chalakaloo thought she was getting a real bargain when she bought 20 Cabbage Patch lookalikes for her nieces and nephews. Then she got the dolls home.
Just the smells from them smells like a chemical. The These smell just like gasoline or kerosene, very strong, especially when they're all together.
Chalakaloo says she bought the dolls out of a truck on Ridge Road. The town of Greece issued a permit to sell Cabbage Patch dolls and replicas at that location to Donald Augustinelli of Ladder Road. Augustinelli is the former head of the county's child support unit. He wasn't home when we stopped to talk with him today. This is where Nancy Chalakaloo bought her Cabbage Patch dolls, from a van parked along Ridge Road near Long Pond. As you can see, the van's gone, and she's out $273. In cases like this, the state attorney general says consumers should remember the old maxim, let the buyer beware. The attorney general's office has received several calls about imitation Cabbage Patch dolls.
We're looking to see, number one, whether the sale involves a hazardous toy. If so, there are tough laws prohibiting the sale of hazardous toys, which provide for fines up to $4,000. We're also looking for deception in the sale of toys. For example, if someone passes off a phony as an original, that also violates our general business laws.
Coleco, which holds the license for the real Cabbage Patch dolls, says the imitations violate federal copyright laws. The company says it will prosecute any and all cases it finds. The real dolls are easy to identify. First off, they come in cellophane-wrapped packages, not plastic bags. There's the designer's signature on the doll's left rear end and Coleco tags on the body and clothing. Jim Redmond, WOKR News.
The state of Massachusetts has banned the sale of fake Cabbage Patch dolls. Health officials there have ordered retailers to stop selling the lookalikes because of their strong petroleum-like odor. And in New York City, federal agents have confiscated 20,000 unlabeled Cabbage Patch dolls from a distributor who was selling them there. 2 companies in Canada have also been ordered to stop selling the lookalikes. This after tests conducted by Canada's Ministry of Consumer Relations revealed traces of kerosene on the dolls' clothing. Sale of the dolls has not been banned here in Rochester, but consumer advocate Judy Brayman-Lipson says the state health department has been asked to thoroughly test the dolls. She says recent tests conducted by the Monroe County Crime Lab reveal that some of the dolls could be dangerous.
They did find some kerosene and gasoline in some of the clothing. And if, in fact, that's true, there is the possibility of some lead being in the gasoline traces.
Brayman-Lipson says preliminary tests done by the Consumer Product Safety Commission indicated that the dolls fall within the Commission's flammability standards. But Brayman-Lipson is still advising people who have the dolls to keep them away from their children until more is known. Patrice Walsh, WOKR News.
Meanwhile, state health officials are still warning parents not to use any fake Cabbage Patch dolls that they suspect as being potentially dangerous. Today, Monroe County's health director, Dr. Joel Nitzkin, explains why.
I differ with the Consumer Product Safety Commission. I'm very concerned about exposure of small children to substances like this, especially if the kid is going to be sleeping with the doll and slobbering it and absorbing the stuff through the skin. I don't think we should allow any kind of exposure like this to small children.
Health officials and law enforcement admit there is a great deal of confusion over how to identify a fake doll since they were manufactured in at least 4 different foreign countries. Checking bald heads, bare bottoms, and dimples on their cheeks is not always proof that a doll is potentially dangerous. But according to health officials, the key concern is with dolls that have a strong, pungent odor. The ones we smelled at the county health department today downright stunk. However, later, we noticed one doll, a parent suspected of being fake, hardly had any smell. The owner told us it smelled much worse before she aired it out in their garage. The owner said she was still concerned.
I cannot give it to the child. I cannot. In all good conscience, Al, I really can't.
Dr. Nitzkin says even if smelly dolls are washed or the stuffing is changed, there is no guarantee you'll remove all traces of petroleum unless you have it tested in a lab.
Kids shouldn't be allowed to play with dolls that have petroleum odors. We would recommend that the parent take it back to the place they bought it and demand the total refund, or if they can't find the place they bought it, either keep it for display purposes only or dispose of it.
And of course, like many parents, Mrs. Connolly found out, trying to get her money back proved to be fruitless.
It's a tough lesson. It's a tough lesson, but what are you going to do?